A renowned neurosurgeon walked through the gleaming halls of his hospital, his mind consumed by precision and logic. Every decision he made was calculated. Every action, methodical. But just as he reached his office, ready to move on to his next patient, a single phone call changed everything. A woman, an old name from his past, had agreed to his unusual proposal. She was blind. The arrangement, a marriage of convenience, and an operation that could restore her sight. It was a deal, nothing more. A logical arrangement. Or so he thought. Because when she opened her eyes, she didn't just see the world, she saw the truth that had been hidden from her all along. Emma Carter sat by the window of her small apartment, her fingers lightly tracing the worn edges of her piano keys. She played a melody she no longer needed to read. It was instinct now. Muscle memory. The notes flowed effortlessly, but something was missing. The world beyond her music remained a mystery. She had lost her sight 5 years ago, in an accident that had stolen more than just her vision. It had taken her dreams, her independence, and the man she had once loved. Liam Carter. His name still stung like a dissonant note in a melody she couldn't forget. She had tried to rebuild. She had learned to navigate life in darkness, accepting that the world would always be just out of reach. But when her doorbell rang that evening, everything she had settled for, everything she had accepted, began to unravel. The moment she opened the door, the air shifted. She didn't need sight to know who was standing there. "Hello, Emma." Her breath caught in her throat. That voice. It had haunted her for years, whispering through sleepless nights and faded memories. "Liam," she whispered, her fingers tightening on the doorframe. "It's me." She could hear the breath in his chest. The hesitation in his stance. He wasn't sure if she would slam the door or let him in. She should have slammed the door. But against all reason, she stepped aside. Liam entered. The scent of clean soap and expensive cologne filled the room. She imagined him, tall, confident, unchanged. But she had changed. She was no longer the woman he had walked away from. "What are you doing here?" she finally asked, folding her arms. "I came because I have something to offer you," he said calmly. A hollow laugh escaped her lips. "You have something to offer? After 5 years? What could you possibly? I can restore your vision, Emma." Silence. She thought she had misheard. But the words settled like lead in her chest. "What?" "There's a new surgical procedure," he explained. "It's advanced. Experimental. But it works. I want to perform it on you. I can give you your sight back." Emma's hands trembled. The idea of seeing again, of light, of color, of looking into a mirror, was something she had long ago stopped letting herself want. Because wanting only led to disappointment. But Liam wasn't finished. "There's a condition." She froze. "Of course there is. You have to marry me." The room turned cold. She stepped back, her heart racing. "You want me to marry you, in exchange for my eyesight?" "For 1 year," he clarified. "Then we can go our separate ways." Her pulse thundered in her ears. It was insanity. A transaction? A business arrangement? Why? She demanded. "Why would you do this?" Liam exhaled slowly. His voice dropped. "Because I need a wife, Emma. For reasons I can't explain right now. But I swear, this isn't about hurting you. It's about helping us both. She laughed, bitterly. You disappeared when I needed you most. When I was at my lowest. And now you're offering me the one thing I've dreamed of every night. Liam didn't respond. This is insane, she muttered, turning away. You expect me to trust you? No, he said quietly. I don't expect you to trust me. But I'm the only one who can give you your sight back. And that was the truth. Emma had lived in darkness for 5 years. Dependent on others. Feeling incomplete. And now, the man who had once broken her was offering to make her whole. A marriage of convenience. Her vision, for her freedom. It should have been an easy answer. She should have thrown him out and told him to never come back. But she didn't. Instead, she asked the one question she wasn't sure she wanted answered. And if I say no? A long pause. Then you stay in the dark. Forever. Emma's hands clenched into fists. Damn him. Damn his arrogance. Damn the part of her that still remembered what it felt like to love him. She took a shaky breath and looked toward his voice, unable to see him, but feeling the weight of his presence. 1 year, she whispered. No more. Liam exhaled, as if he'd been holding his breath the entire time. 1 year, he echoed. Emma turned away, her fingers brushing the piano keys one last time. She had just made a deal with the devil. And deep down, she knew. She would never be the same again. The wedding was beautiful, a perfect illusion of happiness. Golden chandeliers lit up the grand ballroom, their light dancing across polished marble floors. Rows of elegant white chairs lined the aisle. A symphony of violins played softly in the background. Everything about it screamed perfection, everything, except the people getting married. Emma Carter stood at the entrance, wrapped in a gown that likely cost more than her entire apartment. The fabric was smooth under her fingertips, but it didn't suit the knot tightening in her chest. She couldn't see the lavish decorations, or the curious eyes watching her. She didn't need to. She could feel the weight of them all. A firm hand touched her arm. Are you ready? Sarah's voice was gentle, cautious. She had been against this marriage since the moment Emma had told her. I don't know, Emma admitted. Sarah sighed. Then why are you doing this? Emma's fingers curled into her palm. Because it's my only chance to see again. That was the truth. This wasn't about love. Or second chances. This was a deal. 1 year of marriage, for the surgery. Sarah squeezed her hand. You can still walk away. Emma almost laughed. Could she? The contract was signed. The papers were filed. There was no turning back. She straightened her spine. Let's get this over with. The ceremony began. The moment she stepped forward, the room fell silent. She could hear whispers. Gasps. A blind bride. They were probably wondering what kind of woman would marry a man like Liam Carter, brilliant, powerful, untouchable. She wondered the same. Liam's presence was magnetic. She could feel him waiting at the altar, tall, steady, distant. And when he took her hands, his touch was cold. You look beautiful, he said. His voice, smooth. But empty. And you sound just as insincere as I expected, she replied, tilting her head toward him. There was a pause. Then a quiet chuckle. Low. Almost amused. This wasn't a wedding. It was a performance. The officiant's voice echoed, "Do you, Liam Carter, take Emma Carter to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Liam's answer was quick, practiced. "I do." Emma's breath caught. "And do you, Emma Carter, take Liam Carter to be your lawfully wedded husband?" The words sat like stones in her throat. This wasn't love. It was a contract dressed in white. But her sight, her future, was real. "I do." A ring slid onto her finger. And just like that, she was no longer Emma Carter, the woman who had fought to survive in the dark. She was Emma Carter, Liam Carter's wife. A stranger in her own life. The reception was a blur, congratulations, fake smiles, whispered judgments. Liam held her waist firmly, leading her through the crowd like a doll. He barely spoke to her. By the time they arrived at his penthouse, Emma was exhausted. "You can have the bedroom," Liam said as he opened the door. "I'll take the guest room." Emma paused. She had expected awkwardness, but this felt cold. Like a transaction completed. "So that's it?" she asked. Liam ran a hand through his hair. "What did you expect, Emma? A honeymoon?" She clenched her jaw. "I don't know. Maybe for you to act like this marriage means something." His voice turned sharp. "It doesn't." The words hit harder than they should have. "Then why do this?" she demanded. "Why marry me if you're not even going to pretend?" Silence. Then, quietly, "Because I needed a wife." "And you needed me." Emma's stomach twisted. What did that mean? He needed a wife. Before she could ask, he turned away. "Get some rest. You have a doctor's appointment tomorrow." And just like that, he was gone. Emma sat at the edge of the massive bed, fingers grazing the cold metal of her wedding ring. She had married Liam Carter. A man she no longer knew. A man hiding more than he said. What had she just agreed to? Emma had imagined this moment 1,000 times. What it would be like to open her eyes and see again. To witness sunlight spilling through a window. To see the sky. The streets. The colors she remembered only in fragments. She had taught herself not to hope. Not to dream. Hope was dangerous. But now, as she sat in a hospital bed, her hands gripping the cool metal railing, she realized nothing could have prepared her for this. The bandages were coming off. Liam stood beside her. Silent. Still. Distant. He hadn't said much since they arrived. Dr. Reynolds, the lead surgeon, spoke gently. "Emma, I'm going to remove the bandages now. Try to keep your eyes relaxed. The light might be overwhelming at first." Emma swallowed hard. This was it. The last strip of gauze peeled away. A soft glow spilled into her vision. At first, it was just light, blurry shapes melting into brightness. Then slowly, the world sharpened. Shapes. Colors. Motion. The white hospital walls. The blue scrubs of the nurse. The silver tray beside her bed. Emma gasped. "It's real," she whispered. "I can see." Tears welled in her eyes. She reached forward, her fingers brushing the texture of the sheets. As if touching the world would confirm it was truly there. "Emma?" Dr. Reynolds prompted gently. "How does it feel?" She laughed, a breathless, trembling laugh. "Bright." Liam finally spoke. "Can you see me?" Emma turned toward his voice. And everything stopped. Where his face should have been, there was nothing. The space around him was visible, the floor, the walls behind him, even dust floating in the light. But Liam's face was a blur. She blinked rapidly. No matter how hard she focused, it wouldn't form. Panic crept into her chest. "Emma?" Liam asked again. "Closer now." "I." Her hands gripped the sheets. "Something's wrong." Dr. Reynolds stepped closer. "What do you mean?" "I can see everything, except him." Silence. Liam shifted. But the blur moved with him. A blank spot in an otherwise perfect picture. She reached toward him. Her fingers brushed his sleeve, and agony exploded behind her eyes. "Ah," she gasped, pulling back. Liam grabbed her hands. "Emma. What's wrong?" "My head," pain seared through her skull. A nurse pressed her hand to Emma's shoulder. "Breathe. Stay calm." Emma clenched her teeth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Eventually, the pain faded. But fear stayed behind. She was too scared to open her eyes again. Something was horribly wrong. Dr. Reynolds waited a moment before speaking. "This is unusual." Emma opened her eyes slowly. Still nothing. Everyone else was clear. Only Liam remained a blur. "You said the surgery was safe," Liam said, tight-lipped. "It is," the doctor replied. "This isn't something we've seen before. But that doesn't mean it's permanent. It could be neurological. Your brain is adjusting." Emma's voice shook. "How long will it last?" Dr. Reynolds hesitated. "We don't know." Silence. A new kind of darkness had entered her life. The car ride home was quiet. Emma sat stiffly in the passenger seat. Her dress pressed into the seatbelt. Her thoughts spiraled in 1,000 directions. She had her vision back. But she couldn't see Liam. And worse, when she tried, it hurt. What if this wasn't a mistake? What if her brain had been rewired to forget him? She glanced sideways. She could see the seat, the window, the reflection of light. But Liam was still a ghost. What the hell had he done to her? That night, Emma lay awake in the giant bed of Liam's penthouse. The room was bathed in soft moonlight. She could see the city skyline. She could see everything, except him. He entered the room. She felt it. His scent, clean soap and subtle cologne, reached her before his voice did. "You should rest," he said. His voice filled the space. But when she tried to look at him, the blur remained. "Why can't I see you?" she whispered. A long pause. Then footsteps. "It's temporary," Liam said. Too smoothly. Too prepared. "Your brain is still adjusting. You're lying." Silence. "I don't believe you," she continued, voice unsteady but firm. "There's something wrong. And you know what it is." Another pause. "You're tired. We'll talk in the morning." And he left. Emma stared into the dark corner where his shape had vanished. She couldn't see Liam. But she could see the truth. He was hiding something. That night, sleep didn't come easily. And when it did, it brought dreams, no. Not dreams. Memories. A piano. A dark room. A voice. Low. Urgent. Don't trust him. Emma's eyes flew open. Her heart thundered in her chest. That voice. She knew that voice. But no matter how hard she tried to grab onto it, it slipped away. What was happening to her? By morning, Emma had made a decision. She needed answers. She dialed the one person who might still tell her the truth. Sarah. Emma, came the voice on the other end. Sharp. Hesitant. I need to see you. Later that day, they met at a quiet cafe downtown. It was the first time Emma had gone out alone in years. She should have felt thrilled. Liberated. But she felt like a stranger in her own life. When she spotted Sarah near the door, worry etched deep into her friend's face. Emma didn't hesitate. Tell me the truth. Sarah swallowed hard. Emma, no lies. No excuses. I can see everything, except Liam. And when I try, I get these headaches. These flashes. Sarah looked away. You shouldn't have married him. Emma went cold. Why? Sarah hesitated. Then, in a whisper, because this isn't the first time you've had this surgery. Emma's blood ran cold. What do you mean this isn't the first time? Sarah looked around, then leaned in closer. Years ago, before you lost your sight. Liam had you undergo a procedure. Something neurological. Something you discovered, and then, suddenly, your accident happened. Emma's pulse pounded. You're saying, he erased my memory? Sarah didn't respond. She didn't have to. Emma took a step back, her breath catching. My accident wasn't an accident. Sarah lowered her eyes. I begged you not to marry him. Emma stared at her. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Sarah's voice cracked. Because you told me not to. Before everything happened, before the surgery, you made me promise. You said if anything went wrong, if you forgot, I wasn't allowed to interfere. Emma's hands trembled. None of this made sense. But deep down, some part of her already knew. What was I trying to find, she asked. Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. You were investigating something called Genesis Biotech. Emma frowned. What is that? A medical company. At least, on the surface. But behind closed doors, they were experimenting with memory. Rewriting it. Erasing it. Emma felt dizzy. You said I found something. What was it? I don't know, Sarah said. But whatever it was, it scared them. And then, you lost your sight. Emma stared at the table, everything spinning. Had her entire life been rewritten? Had someone taken pieces of her mind? She needed proof. That night, Emma returned to Liam's penthouse. He wasn't home. She searched his office, something she'd never dared to do before. And in the bottom drawer of his desk, she found a medical contract. Her name was on it. Emma Carter. Date, 5 years ago. Subject, neurological reconstruction and selective memory reconfiguration. Approved by Dr. Liam Carter. Her hands shook. She had never signed this. And yet, there was her signature. She hadn't just been blind. She had been controlled. Her entire past, edited. And Liam had been the one holding the pen. Emma clutched the document. A lie. A signature forged. A life rewritten. She stared at the words again. Approved by Liam Carter. She hadn't agreed to this. She hadn't even known about it. A sharp pain sliced through her head. She gripped the desk, squeezing her eyes shut. A flash, a white room. Bright lights. Cold hands on her temples. And her own voice, angry, desperate. I know what you did. I know the truth. Then, blackness. Emma gasped, snapping upright. What had she discovered? What had been taken from her? She needed Sarah again. She rushed out of the penthouse and went straight to her friend's apartment. Sarah opened the door, her eyes wide. You knew, Emma said, holding out the document. You knew I never agreed to this. Sarah swallowed hard. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Because, you warned me not to. You said if I did, they'd come after me too. Emma's throat tightened. Who? Sarah hesitated. Then whispered, Genesis Biotech. Emma's heart dropped. I thought they erased my memories. They did more than that, Sarah said. They rewrote them. And Liam, he was part of it. Emma's knees nearly buckled. Why? Sarah exhaled. Because you found something. You were getting too close. And when Genesis realized it, they decided to silence you. Liam erased your memories to protect you. Or maybe to protect them. Emma shook her head. This can't be real. Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. There's something else. She hit play. And a video appeared. Emma's heart nearly stopped. The woman on screen was her. Younger. Sharper. Afraid. If you're watching this, the past Emma said, it means they got to me. They will make you forget. But you can't trust him. Who? Emma whispered. The answer came seconds later. Liam. Emma's world tilted. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. Liam hadn't just married her for convenience. He hadn't just operated to help her. He had erased her past. And now, the truth was unraveling. She returned to the penthouse with shaking hands. Liam was sitting in the living room, a glass of whiskey in his hand. You're late, he said casually. Emma walked forward and threw the document on the table. You lied to me. He raised an eyebrow. You'll have to be more specific. This, she hissed. You erased my memory. 5 years ago. You signed off on it. Without my consent. Liam's jaw clenched. Where did you get that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I know. He stood slowly. Emma, why? She demanded. Why did you do it? For the first time, something flickered in his expression. Guilt. I did what I had to do. That's not an answer. You were in danger. Genesis wanted you dead. I had to erase the part they were after, the memories they feared. Emma's voice trembled. So you stole them from me? I saved your life. Emma turned away, her voice cold. No. You trapped me in a lie. She started to leave. Emma, he grabbed her wrist. If you had remembered, you'd be dead. She froze. Those words. They weren't a threat. They were a warning. And for the first time since regaining her sight, Emma realized something terrifying. Maybe Liam Carter was the only reason she was still alive. Emma's breath came in shallow, controlled exhales as she stared at Liam. If I had remembered the truth, I wouldn't be alive right now. His words echoed in her mind, chilling her to the bone. What truth could be so dangerous it had to be erased? She didn't speak for a long moment. Neither did he. Finally, she said, "Tell me everything." Liam ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. His usual calm demeanor was cracking, the walls around him beginning to fall. "You won't like what you hear," he said. "I don't care," she shot back. "I deserve to know." Liam hesitated, then gestured to the couch. "Sit down." She didn't move. "No. Just tell me." His jaw tensed. "And then, he did. 5 years ago, you were investigating Genesis Biotech," Liam began. Emma's hands balled into fists. "Sarah told me that much. Genesis wasn't just developing medical treatments. They were working on memory manipulation. Experiments to erase or rewrite parts of a person's past." Emma's stomach turned. "You mean, like what you did to me?" He nodded. "Yes. But when I did it, it wasn't about control. It was to protect you." She laughed bitterly. "Right. Stripping someone of their memories is such a noble thing." Liam's voice darkened. "You weren't supposed to be involved. You got too close. You found something you weren't meant to see." Emma's pulse pounded. "What did I find?" "I don't know," Liam admitted. "You're lying." "I'm not," he said. "By the time I found out how deep you were, Genesis had already decided to eliminate you. I had to act fast. The only way to keep you alive was to erase what they were after." Emma's breath caught. "Why did you marry me?" she asked quietly. Liam looked away. "Because Genesis is still watching you. If they think you're remembering, they'll come back to finish the job." Emma swallowed hard. "Then help me." He blinked. "What?" "Help me remember." Liam's entire body stiffened. "No, why not?" "Because if you try to force it, your brain might not survive it." A cold shiver ran down her spine. "What do you mean?" "They didn't just erase your memories," he said. "They implanted a fail-safe. A subconscious trigger. If you push too hard, it could shut your brain down. Permanently." Emma stared at him, stunned. "So what? I just stay like this? Half a person? A puppet?" "I'm trying to keep you alive," he said. "And I'm trying to live." Silence. Then the lights cut out. The penthouse plunged into darkness. Then, the sound of glass shattering. Emma gasped, ducking instinctively as shards rained down. Gunfire. Liam grabbed her wrist. "Move," he barked. A masked figure stormed through the broken window, silencer attached to his weapon. Emma's breath caught. "Genesis." Liam pulled her down the hallway, moving with a terrifying calm. He reached into the wall and pulled out a gun from a hidden compartment. "You keep weapons in the walls?" she shouted. "Of course I do," he muttered. "You think I didn't know this was coming?" Another bullet shattered the tile near their feet. Liam shoved her toward the back exit. "Go. Now." "What about you?" "I'll handle this. Just run." Emma hesitated, then bolted. She ran down the emergency stairwell, the flash drive still clutched in her pocket. The same one she had found in Liam's desk. The one with her name and a list of missing test subjects. If Genesis was willing to kill her now, it meant one thing. She was getting too close. As she burst onto the street, her phone buzzed. Another message. Unknown number, you know where to go. Her blood ran cold. She didn't know who was sending the messages. But she knew what they meant. There was only one place this could end. The abandoned Genesis Biotech Research Facility. The building loomed like a skeleton, cold and forgotten. Emma stood outside, wind tugging at her coat. The flashlight in her pocket felt suddenly too small, too weak. She stepped through the rusted front doors. Dust choked the air. The silence felt alive. She walked slowly, her boots echoing across the concrete. And then, a whisper in her mind. A memory. She had been here before. The walls were empty now, but her memory filled in the gaps. Flashing monitors, white tiles, the sterile hum of machines. And then, a scream. Her own. At the end of the hall, she found the door. Metal. Rusted. Left ajar. She stepped inside. And her knees nearly gave out. This was it. The room where they had erased her. Suddenly, memories surged. A chair. Straps. Wires pressed against her temples. A man's voice, she's resisting. Another voice. Desperate. Familiar. You have to stop. You're going to kill her. Emma's breath caught. That second voice. It was Liam's. He had tried to stop them. She stumbled forward. Inside an old filing cabinet, she found her name. Subject, Emma Carter. Status, memory reconfiguration. Notes, subject has shown high resistance to neural erasure. Full deletion failed. Additional procedure required. They had tried to erase her more than once. But something inside her had fought back. She wasn't broken. She was surviving. Then, a click behind her. Footsteps. Someone else was here. She turned off the flashlight and ducked behind a desk. Find her, a voice ordered. Heavy boots hit the floor. She spotted a vent. Crawled toward it. Pain flared in her knee as it scraped against glass, but she didn't stop. As she pulled the grate closed behind her, a pair of boots stopped inches from where she'd been. She's here, someone whispered. And she's not leaving alive. Emma stayed in the vent until the voices faded. Then she crawled through the darkness, breath ragged. Suddenly, another memory flickered. A voice. Her own voice, but not now. From before. If you ever remember this, go to the lighthouse. The lighthouse. There was only one near the city. And she knew. That was where the final piece waited. The lighthouse stood tall against the stormy sky, weathered and silent. Emma stood at the edge of the rocky hill, her coat flapping in the wind, hair tangled by the cold salt air. She had never been here before. At least, she didn't think so. But something deep inside her said otherwise. This place mattered. This place held answers. She took one step forward. Then a voice cut through the wind. You shouldn't have come alone. She turned. Liam. He stood a few feet behind her, his coat billowing, his eyes shadowed by the clouds above. How did you find me? You really think Genesis wouldn't track you here? Emma's stomach twisted. Of course they would. She turned back toward the lighthouse. Then we don't have much time. Emma, no more secrets, she snapped. No more lies. I'm done being handled, Liam. Either you're with me or you're in my way. Silence. Then, slowly, he nodded. I was never in your way. They entered the lighthouse together. Inside, it was colder than outside. The stone walls soaked up the chill, and each creak of the stairs echoed like a whisper. Emma placed her hand on the railing, and flinched. A memory. Running up these stairs. Her breath ragged. Someone pulling her along. A voice, you have to hurry. They're coming. Liam stayed quiet behind her as they climbed. By the time they reached the top, Emma was dizzy with fragments of the past. In the corner of the circular room sat a small wooden chest. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside, a flash drive. Her breath caught. This is it, she whispered. She turned to Liam. But before he could speak, the window shattered. Gunfire. Emma screamed and ducked. Liam pulled her down. Run, he shouted. She grabbed the flash drive and sprinted toward the stairs. More footsteps echoed from below. Genesis was here. They can't get this drive, Liam said, handing her a gun. No matter what. Emma stared at it. I've never shot anything in my life. Then start now. The door burst open. Chaos. The next moments were a blur of screams, bullets, and movement. Emma's lungs burned as she and Liam fought their way down the spiraling stairs. But then, a voice stopped them cold. Emma. She froze. Even the Genesis soldiers stopped. A man stepped forward. Older. Cold eyes. Familiar. Emma's heart nearly stopped. Dad? Dr. Richard Carter stood at the base of the lighthouse stairs. The man Emma had grieved for. The man she believed was dead. But he wasn't dead. He was alive. And he was part of Genesis. Emma, he said softly. It's been a long time. Her fingers tightened around the flash drive. All this time. All the secrets. And the man behind it all, was her father. Liam stepped in front of her. You did this, he growled. Dr. Carter looked at him, almost amused. You were always my brightest student. Emma's stomach churned. She turned to Liam. You knew him. Liam's jaw clenched. He trained me. Before I realized what Genesis really was. Emma shook her head. Her father had trained Liam. Had used her. Why? She whispered. Why me? Dr. Carter's face stayed calm. Because you were unique. And because I wanted to protect you. By erasing me, she shouted. By blinding me. It was the only way to keep you from remembering. You turned me into a test subject. No. I saved your life, he said. Emma's hands shook. And now what? Are you here to erase me again? No, he said. I'm giving you a choice. He stepped forward. Come back to Genesis. Let us restore you. We can make all of this go away. No more pain. No more confusion. You mean you'll wipe me clean? Yes. And this time, permanently. Emma's voice dropped. And if I refuse? Dr. Carter didn't blink. Then neither of you will leave this lighthouse alive. Silence. Liam's fingers brushed hers, the smallest touch. A silent question. Are you ready? Emma took a breath. She was. No more running, she said. No more forgetting. She raised her chin. I'd rather die with my memories than live as a ghost. Dr. Carter sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. He raised his hand. Soldiers filled the room. Liam moved first. His gun was already raised. He fired, taking down the nearest guard. Move, he shouted. Emma ducked, clutching the flash drive. She followed Liam down the stairs as bullets flew around them. At the ground level, more guards blocked the exit. We're not getting out the front, Liam muttered. Emma turned. The cliffs. He looked at her, wide-eyed. That's suicide. So is staying here. They locked eyes. Then, they ran. The wind howled as they burst through the back door. Waves crashed violently below. Soldiers shouted behind them. Liam grabbed her hand. If we jump, we might not survive. If we stay, we definitely won't. Behind them, her father stepped into view. Guns raised. Liam's grip tightened. On my count. 1. Emma's heart pounded. 2. Her father shouted something. 3. They jumped. Cold. The ocean swallowed them. Emma hit the water like concrete. The shock stole her breath. For a moment, she couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Then a hand grabbed hers. Liam. She kicked upward. They broke the surface together, gasping. Swim, he shouted. Gunfire cracked above. But the sea was on their side. By the time they reached the shore, Genesis had vanished into the dark. They collapsed together on the rocky beach. Alive. Shivering. But alive. Liam turned to her, coughing. Are we safe? Emma looked up at the stormy sky. For now. They found shelter in an abandoned fishing cabin near the shoreline. The wind howled outside, but inside, it was quiet. Cold. Safe, for now. Emma sat by the cracked window, staring out at the waves while Liam wrapped a bandage around his arm. In her hands, the flash drive. Everything they had fought for, everything they had nearly died for, was inside. You don't have to look, Liam said quietly. Whatever's on that drive, it won't change the past. Emma shook her head. No. But it might change the future. She plugged it into an old laptop they found beneath the dusty bed. A single video file. She clicked play. The woman on the screen was her. Younger. Stronger. Eyes burning with urgency. If you're watching this, the recorded Emma said, it means you found the truth. They took your memories. But they couldn't take this. The screen flickered. A document appeared, labeled Genesis Research Project, Phase 4. Emma leaned forward. The document detailed more than just memory erasure. It spoke of memory implantation. Identity manipulation. Complete cognitive rewriting. They weren't just erasing you, her past self continued. They were turning you into someone else. Liam's fists clenched. They've already done this to dozens of people. Maybe hundreds. And they're going to keep doing it, unless you stop them. Emma swallowed. This wasn't just about her anymore. It never had been. This was about everyone. She looked at Liam. What do we do now? He met her eyes. That depends. Are you ready to make them remember? She nodded. Let's end this. They worked through the night. Encrypted the files. Sent them to media outlets. Whistleblower forums. Journalists. Trusted contacts. By morning, the world knew. The fallout was instant. Genesis Biotech collapsed. Investigations launched. Arrests made. Hidden documents unearthed. Dr. Richard Carter vanished. No trace. No leads. But Emma knew he was still out there. Watching. Waiting. This wasn't over. Not really. But it was a beginning. Days turned into weeks. Emma and Liam moved constantly. Changing names. Cities. Identities. But for the first time in years, they weren't running in fear. They were running towards something. One night, as they sat in a small motel on the edge of nowhere, Emma looked at him. What now? She asked. Liam smiled faintly. You tell me. She reached for his hand. We start over. He nodded, squeezing her fingers. Together. And so, Emma Carter walked into the future. No longer blind. No longer erased. She had her memories. Her choices. Her freedom. And no one would ever take them from her again. Emma's story didn't end with revenge. It didn't end with victory. It began with truth. Her story became a message, a warning. We are not just the memories given to us. We are the truths we uncover, the people we fight to become, and the freedom we claim for ourselves. Would you choose to remember, even if the truth was painful?